tariffs are working. Whine all you want. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, May the 4th, and coming to you from Chicago. In the meantime, we have the continued whining about tariffs, and they are working. In fact, since the Trump administration has taken office, the U.S. Treasury has brought in over $100 billion, $17 billion in April. So I would have to say that the tariffs are working, and I think it's helping the United States gain more control. That's something that I've always wanted. I'm tired of being the weak sister. I want to see the United States be the best and not the laughingstock it has been over the past 4 years before President Trump. So, in my opinion, $100 billion in the Treasury has brought us some hope and some thought and some control. And I think that is what's more important. I don't think it should be an issue if we have to pay a little bit more for goods and services here. I believe that the concept and where we're going will actually eventually lead to better pricing, lower pricing, better jobs. And of course, we just saw a jobs number on Friday that once again beat. So, listen, I'm not a big fan of government numbers, but no matter who's in office, it doesn't really matter. There's always a lot of bullshit. But the jobs number was better. So if we're going to use that as a gauge, it did beat expectations pretty handily. And of course, the market exploded, which we'll go into in our market report. But I guess there's a few things to think about, and one is actually fixing the government. Can we fix it? Will we fix it? And the answer is we don't know. I believe that President Trump would fix the government if he had the support of others. But I think when you look at the bigger picture, Trump has so much opposition. Okay, it's always his fault. Every problem in the world is Trump's fault. But between the pollsters, the media, and the institutionalized left, okay, they are doing everything in their power to prevent President Trump from doing his job. Does he exaggerate? Does he say things that are maybe a little bit embellished or maybe not necessarily true? Yeah, he does. Of course he does. But many of the things he does say are correct, and they are working, and things are in much better shape. I mean, again, if you want to use only the market as a bellwether, well, the market's been awfully strong. And of course, reaching back up. But again, we will talk about that a bit later. But I think we have to look at the things that go on. And of course, California and their penal reform and the number of violent criminals they continue to let loose. Now, what is prison for? What is this about? Why are we letting out violent criminals? And why are we using an old wartime power to deport Venezuela, making them unlawful? Judges, it doesn't make sense. Do we want criminals that are not citizens to be able to stay in this country? Okay. I think that we should deport them all. I wish there'd be a mass deportation and get rid of everybody. But I think one of the interesting stats you can find out is last year at this time, we had 250 million illegals come into this country. Within the Trump administration, you have seen 7,000 come in. That's a pretty significant difference as to what's going on. And I think that is in itself something to be hopeful for and cheerful for. And I think that, again, we should get rid of the rest of them. I am certainly the violent criminals, but again, I understand and I know what's going on, but I think we have to start somewhere. To me, again, the back and forth with this Venezuela and this wartime judge, bringing in and allowing and not allowing Trump to do things. And it was by the way, it was a Trump appointee judge. So, but we continue to see the corruption that goes on. And of course, there was a renovation in Philadelphia's 30th Street station. It was a multi-million-dollar hotbed of corruption, bribes, and overbilling Amtrak. And isn't that just sad that we continue to allow companies to overbill the government? And of course, the government doesn't pay attention, which is another problem. It's because, again, let's face it, government is about graft. Government is about taking money, payola, And unfortunately, whether you be a Democrat or you be a Republican, they are all taking money that is not theirs. They are taking your money. They are taking my money. Okay. And I think that that is a problem. We continue to hear, and I think President Trump, as I said last week, I'm saying again this week because he brought it up again, that everything is so good, which he is correct. The economy is getting better. Prices are coming down, certainly at the gas pump, which I think is the first big step. But getting a rate cut here would be ridiculous and stupid, especially because the rate cuts are not passed on to the consumer. I will remind you that the Fed funds rate has nothing to do with you. It only has to do with the borrowing rate between banks and the Federal Reserve. So I would hope that he would stop with the rate cuts. His words should be, let the free market decide what rate should be, not what he wants them to be or what the Federal Reserve wants them to be, but what does the free market tell you that interest rates should be? That would be better. That would be a true price discovery model. Okay. Medicare cuts, there should be a lot of Medicare cuts. Again, this is a total joke. Being a Medicare recipient myself, the things that they make you do, the money that the doctors and the companies are stealing from Medicare, and the government letting them get away with it, when we have to all recognize that Social Security and the Medicare system are all one giant Ponzi scheme. And we need to make an adjustment in the Social Security age, the retirement age, and we have to do a better job of running Social Security and Medicare as a business. Okay. I think that you've seen some other issues though. Look, I don't, the rally we just witnessed, I don't think is any big shakes here. I think it's going to fail very badly. As I've said all along, there's going to be some pain. And I think this rally was more of a dead cat bounce. And I think that you're going to see that, with ISM manufacturing getting clobbered once again, now down 28 out of the last 30 months, not a good situation. Now, again, I do believe after the turmoil and after the trouble that is being created, and because President Trump is doing the right thing, okay, and trying to bring jobs back to this country and trying to control things, I think we suffer first, which is fine, and then I think we get an expansion in our economy, and I think things become much better. I think, this climate litigation, again, I said this last week, and I'm going to repeat it again for all you greenies, okay? I don't believe in climate change, but if you do, okay, then the only true answer is nuclear power. That is the answer to all of the climate change problems. That is the answer to all the problems, not wind farms, not solar, but of course, if you put wind farms and solar, officials can steal money versus building nuclear reactors and going back into nuclear power, because that is the purest, cleanest, easiest, cheapest way to power the entire globe. But again, we're not talking about what's best for the people. We're talking about what's best for the crooks. Okay. China says open door to trade. Who cares? I would assume not trade with China. Okay. Unless it is to our benefit. I don't want to make it to China's benefit. I want to make it to the United States benefit. Okay. So again, I think that the tariffs are working. I think that's evident. I think that we're trying to regain and retake control as a power, which I think that is starting to work. But again, we have problems with law and order because of a lot of the state governments and what the things that they're doing, including California and Illinois and New York. But hopefully we will get back to law and order. Hopefully we'll get back to a country that we can be proud of, and don't have to have all these murders and killings and robberies and illegals running around. So I think we're on the right path. But again, I do think we're going to see a little bit of pain first. But I think so far in Trump's first 100 days, I think he's doing a pretty good job. And I think he's getting a very bad rep from the media. But we'll talk more about that in our commentary. And this is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, May the 4th. We're going to stop there for a break and be right back with more of Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? Hope you're having a great week, great weekend. And of course, we're in Chicago right now for my mom's 96th birthday. But in the meantime, as you know, we have sponsors, and again, they are brokerage partners. So again, I'm not telling you to take this broker. I have many other brokers, but these are the ones that I've picked out a special and recognize that are the best for my people. And of course, the first is TRADIER Brokerage, which is again, it's $10 a month flat. Okay. With all of our automation, they use it, and it doesn't cost you anything to use our automation with TRADIER Brokerage. So I can't passively pass on that. Capital Trading Group for futures and commodities, great organization, great customer service, great people to deal with. They're partners with on a couple of products, so they're terrific. ITM Trading for all your gold and silver physical needs. I've been doing business with them for over 20 years. I think that they're great. I think they do a great job. I think you should check them out. Spooky Express, if you're a better, if you'd like to bet a few shekels here and there in the offshore, good friend of ours, and of course, one of our new sponsors, Joy of Mom. Great organization, really out there to help moms and help things done, and have many great forums, but check them out, Joy of Mom, and of course our high school program, which we're trying to re-educate, and of course we're trying to work that with our Joy of Mom partner. So check them out, and of course let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line, and of course our market commentary and our market report. Let's get back to it right now. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, May the 4th. And of course, markets had a huge up week. S&P was up about 400 for the week. Not a we had talked about this. We were long, so that's good, number one. Number two, we have talked about this extensively, that we expected the markets to get back up to the 200-day moving average. They were below, and now here we are. And I would suspect that you're going to see some pretty good selling from here. We'll see what happens. Again, I can't make general predictions. Right now, we're still long the markets, but again, I think the rally was expected. I think that the rally was something we thought was happening. And now it's where do we go from here? And I think that this is very natural. We had a rip your face off rally. We came right back, and I think now you'll see, and I would predict, if I were going to predict, that we're going much lower from here once again. But we'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, we are long the four major indices. And of course, if we look at the dollar is fairly stable last week, but it, obviously still lower. We don't trade it, but if we did, we'd be long. The euro currency, we are short. The bonds and notes had a little bit of attempt at a rally, but again, interest rates, in my opinion, are going higher. So expect the bonds and notes futures to go lower. And of course, we are long bonds and notes, and you saw they got crippled from Wednesday to Friday, basically for a flat week. As we look at Bitcoin did break out. And again, we talked about it and told you when it was 85,000 and it couldn't break down to the downside, that was going up, and now we're sitting up there near close to 100,000. Gold had a little bit of a rough week, which made sense. I think there's more room to go on the downside in gold. We are short gold. Silver had a mediocre week, but we're flat silver. Platinum, which we don't trade, but we would be short. Copper had a mixed week, but we're long. In the grain markets, we're long corn, which had a solid week. Wheat and soybeans were flat, no trade right now. In cattle continues to defy me and punish me. And of course, I'm fighting the market, which is not a smart thing to do. But I think the meats are headed lower. Cattle is. I don't see who's supporting it. I think it's a problem. But again, that's what it is. It is what it is. Listen, the market is the market. The tape is the tape. And if you fight it, then you fight it at your own peril. Hogs, solid week. We did get out of our long positions, which is great. Nat gas spiked higher, and of course we're long. And somebody asked me about why would you be long nat gas now, and I said because the chart tells me to be long. I don't care about what the fundamentals are around it. And crude oil, which we got long on Friday. Again, I think that you've seen some pretty dramatic movement. We are now pretty extended to the downside. And listen, I think if I break down the market from years of trading, based on where they are in the chart positioning, I don't care about the news. I don't care about economic news. I don't care about anything. I care about what is the market telling me. And the market's telling me that it's getting ready to roll over. And that's the way, obviously I update you every day, but that's the way I see it for now. I think the market rolls over and takes some pretty heavy punishment. In fact, a lot of our positions and other positions are getting ready to be short bias. So Again, I'm not predicting. I don't want you to do anything. I want you to watch the market and figure it out. But there is nothing really out there that says that we're in great shape. And, even though the jobs number was good, not so good. Okay. A lot of people aren't working and they're certainly not making the amount of money they need to make. But be careful. But I'm telling you now, and you'll hear this probably every day, we'll be looking for opportunities to sell into rallies. And this is our market report for Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, May the 4th. We're going to step out for our final break and come back with our commentary right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, what's going on? I hope you're having a good weekend. Hope you enjoyed the Derby, the Kentucky Oaks. In the meantime, we're not going to go through all the sponsors. I'm just going to tell you their names: TRADIER Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, ITM Trading, Spooky Express, Joy of Mom, and of course, our high school program. And they're scrolling on the bottom or on the sides of the website. Just check them out. Look, again, that's all I can tell you. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, our commentary right now. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, May the 4th. And of course, there's so many things that are going on. And I can't tell you the problem I have with government in general. And it is not with President Trump. I think President Trump is doing a great job. Does he over embellish things a little bit? Yeah, he does. But again, at the end of the day, can we fix the government? And that's the big problem. And the problem is that the government, the people that work in government, don't want it to be fixed. They want to continue the graft and taking our tax dollars and pissing them in the toilet, okay, and putting them in their own pocket. Okay, they're not doing what is best for us as citizens. It goes from the Ponzi scheme of Medicare and Social Security, which we pay for. It's not an entitlement. It is something you pay for your whole life, okay, to get to it. They use the money, so they're borrowing the money at no juice, okay, and they're going to use it. And of course, they've overspent it. They haven't made the proper adjustments to Social Security to make the system still viable, okay? So they continue to steal your money, okay? They are grafting you out of your cash. I cannot really take care of it. I cannot support it. I think it's a very bad thing. But I think one of the problems is it's hard as a president who wants to make changes to get these through. I think that Elon Musk in the Doge program, yeah, it hasn't cut anywhere near what we thought they could cut so far, but they have cut, over 150 billion or whatever. Again, that's a drop in the bucket because of, our debt continues to grow because of the higher interest rate. But at the end of the day, we need to stand tall. We need to stand tough. We need to stand as a country and say enough. We're tired of it, and let's move forward. Let's put the money back in the pockets of Americans and quit giving it to other places in the world. And that's where I think the tariffs and everything, again, there's going to be some early pain, but I think if you can take the early pain and get a little bit of that delayed gratification, I think you'll be a much happy camper in the long run. And that's the way I see it here on Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, the May the 4th. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow, back from Las Vegas with Bubba's Daily Update. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.